Hello. Well, in this video we're going to be exploring Minimum RC Stuka. I've not opened this box yet. I've got my knife ready. It's held on with a piece of sellotape there, I've just cut. Let's see what's in the box. What do you get? I'm hoping it's going to be the full kit. You get a basic kit and a full kit. Okay, so let's see what you get with a full kit. So we have a plastic bag here which has the propeller, the gear that goes with it, the electric motor. It looks like foam wheels for the undercarriages, the linkages, some magnets, and some carbon fibre rods, and the ply supports there for the wings, for the gull wing. Okay, we have, which looks as though it's been stuck down. We'll leave that till a minute. I don't want to be ripping things apart. Right, we have some glue. We have 502 glue and UFO glue. Now the 502 is like what do you call it? Super glue, and the UFO is like a foam glue. And in there they give you a knife and they give you a screwdriver. So you've got all your tools really. What else have we got? Well, we have the battery, which is a 3.720C 260 milliamp hour single cell battery. We have in there the servos. I think, yeah, there's 3 servos there, so that'd be rudder, elevator, aileron. We have a battery charger for the one cell, which is a USB battery charger, which is just as well because I put away my my chargers, so I'll be plugging that in first thing I do. Make sure you get the battery charged up. It's quite well packaged. Comes from China, so it's done well. There's no damage or anything like that. Got some bubble wrap. Take that out. You get a Minimum RC calling card. Okay, probably find a use for that somewhere. And here's your parts. So I'm not going to open that just yet because I've got to look at the instructions. Now if you, oh yes, and then you got the spinner. Let's get the spinner out, which is stuck in. Oh, the spinner and the canopy. So the spinner and the canopy are in the same plastic box. Okay, so that'll be pretty good. That'll be nice and safe. So it's quite well packaged. So just for now, I'm going to put those back nice and flat. Now, for the instructions, you go on the Minimum RC website, go to the Stuka. You can download the instructions. Normally I'd print these off, but I've run out of my employer's ink, so I'm going to take it straight off the laptop, which is to my right there. It's my laptop. Okay, so the glues, if you don't have the glue, I use Yoo-Hoo, or you can use Deluxe Materials Foam Safe. Okay, failing that, I have to my right here the CA version. There's a CA version there of a foam safe. I probably won't be using that. I'll use whatever's in the kit, and we'll have a look at that. So I'm going to have a look at the instructions and let's see what they say. Right, so just to let you know, there's 105 steps to do this, so I'm not going to show you the whole thing. It's going to take an hour or so, so I'm going to lay everything out. Okay, so the first few things I think I need to point out is you're going to need a nail file. These are I've just done a very quick fit of these parts, and they need a little bit of a nail file on them. They're a bit tight, so you need to file them down a little bit, get them in, okay, because it's a little bit fiddly, the nail file. I have a couple of these pins here. They'll come into their own in just a moment. That's for centering the servo mount underneath, which is glued on, okay. And the first thing you have to do is you need to put this cog onto the motor and then ease the motor into that mount for the gear. The gear is there, okay, and I've put that in the center of the cog. That's a little bit fiddly to do. You have to put a bit of pressure on it to get it on, but once it's on, it's okay, and it just slides in. Okay, so let's put that there for a moment. The instructions, there's not a lot written down, but there are lots of photographs. There's 105 photographs to show you what to do, and then you have to sort of figure it out a little bit. So apart from that, it seems pretty straightforward. So what we have is, I'm going to call this the Pac-Man, because it looks like a Pac-Man from the 1980s. And what you need to do is get all your instructions, and then if you've got it on your laptop, enlarge it slightly so you can see clearly how it goes together. Now it just says use glue to secure the servo spacer bottom view of the part, so that's the only instruction. So I'm looking at the photograph here, and it looks like this goes in to here like so, and as I said, they're quite a tight fit, which is not a bad thing. It's all right. Just sometimes just need a little bit of sanding with the nail file, okay, and that also goes on that side there. Now let me just see if I can make that go in. As I said, it is a little bit of a tight fit. I think that just needs a little bit of sanding off there. Okay, get that in. Now it needs a little bit more. There's a little nodule there where you take it out of the ply, and it's where you cut it. That's what's stopping that. Okay, get that in there. Yep, that's gone straight in. Now that I've filed it, it's gone straight in, so just press that down a bit. Now the Pac-Man goes like this. So if you wedge these two apart slightly, a little bit fiddly, let's part them a bit more. There you go. And squeeze them together. They should. Okay, let's take the one part off. That goes in there like that. Okay. And this one part here can pop back in. Get the right way up. There we go. Press that down. It looks like it's all in. Okay, so it's just finger pressure, and there we have our first part in. Of course I will glue this, I just want to get the rest of the parts in first. So the next part is to put the servo mount in. Now the servo mount goes underneath, that's important, that goes underneath. So this is where these two pins come in. I'm going to pop that in there, see, like that, and that will centre the holes. That's the Baron Flight's topical tip. Okay, there you go. This is unrehearsed, by the way. So let's see if that goes in okay. Which it does. Just press that in. There you go. So that the holes are all central to where they should be. And I'm quite happy to drop a little bit of glue on that now and around the front here, because the next part is to put the ply in for the wings. But I'm going to do this now. I'm going to use their glue. That's their glue. Okay. You have to pierce the top. Ooh, a little bit too much. Ooh, a little bit too much. That's because the tube is new. Okay. It wants to come out rapidly. Okay. It's quite thin stuff, so it does go into the gaps quite well. Yeah, I've done the servo mount. Now then, let's make sure it's absolutely correct. So it's that way around, and the wing, this is called a gull, goes into that slot there, and I'll use a bit more of the glue. You have to be careful with this. It tends to run out quite quickly. You only want a bit. Caught me unawares, that did. And what you do, you let that thoroughly go off. This takes between 10-20 seconds. But I'm going to let that just go off for a minute. Take these pins out because I don't want them to glue in. Okay, and we just let that rest for a moment, and I'll come straight back. Okay, so moving swiftly on, you need to get the motor mounted on the front there. Now I'll tell you now, that is really stiff. I had to put quite a lot of force on that to get that in, even though I filed it down. So give that wood a good filing, yeah, and just ease that on, and then just make sure that that propeller is free to turn. Okay, which now brings us on to the servos. Now if you look at the instructions, things go in this way up. Now it's a good tip, if you've got a magnet lying around, put your screwdriver on it and leave it there for a long time. In fact, there's one method you can use, is rub it up and down like that. That helps. I don't know why exactly, but that does help, because the screws are really tiny. So what you need to do is get that screwdriver magnetized, get the posi drive screw on the end, and then it'll hold itself, or you screw it in. And it's very important that you get the servos the correct way up, and with the horns centralized. So this is how it looks. Okay, this is the underneath. Okay, once you've got the servos in, you're then going to put the magnet into one of the magnets into the wooden holder there, and glue that in. Okay, and then what you need to do is get your receiver. Now the receiver I have here, just for those who may want to know, It's an MA/RX42/D brackets DSMX/2 brackets, close brackets, okay? And that works on the Spectrum radio. Now, I use Spectrum, quite like Spectrum. I'll just hold it up again just so you can see that. Okay, I hope that's in focus. All right, then what you need to do is plug in servos to the receiver, which is also known as an RX. Now, if you have done what I've done and marked which servo is which, okay, I'll tell you which plugs to go into. The elevator goes into this plug, okay, the rudder goes into this plug, and the ailerons go into this plug here at the front, and then your motor goes into that plug there at the front, and this goes to your battery. Now, it's pointless me showing you how to bind to this because you may have a different radio and have a different way of doing it. But what you do, you connect up your battery and then put the radio into bind mode, and that will flash, and once it's bind it'll go solid. Okay, so this is the most important part. Now you've got to make sure that all of your servos are working and that they're central. Okay, there you go. So there's your rudder, there's your elevator, and underneath is your ailerons. And you can mix them together if you want to on your radio, depending on what radio setup you got. I haven't, so then all we've got to do then is put the receiver in the middle there, right over the top of the wing, get all the cables together, put that little tie up that's in the bag around it, and make it all nice and neat, and then that part's complete. Right, so getting to the exciting bit now, because things are going to start to look like what they should do. So if you take your screwdriver off your magnet, don't forget to rub it. Now if you get the two fuselage sides, I'll just show you the one for now, it's pointless showing you both. You'll see there's some lines here, here and here, and what you need to do, take your screwdriver, okay, make sure you got a good light, and then score along the line, not hard, just gently, okay, with the screwdriver. 1, 2, 3, because they need to bend when you get them on the fuselage side. Now you need to get that fuselage side on. This is the other side of it. Okay, here's the trick. So I'll just take this off again. Right, it won't be apparent at first, but you need to get this spar through that hole, the smaller hole. There's your bigger hole, there's your smaller hole there. Okay, you push that through, okay, and then you'll know you're in the right place, because then that servo arm, yeah, will then go through that slot there. And there's your servo arm. Okay, and also your front edge will be just behind the gearage of the prop, and then all you got to do then, put some glue on all the way down here, here, here and there. Okay, and then you just pop the side on, do the same for the opposite side, and when you've done that, you've done both sides. Okay, we're then going to go on to these parts here, which you go top and bottom basically. Okay, so let me glue that on, come straight back. Right, a couple of tips, Baron's tips here. Get yourself a jar. Now this is, how deep's this? Let's have a look. This is centimetre, 15 centimetres, which is 6 inches, okay? that allows you to put the wing strut in there and lay that flat. And then I use these rectangular spirit levels. You can get them from sometimes a pound shop, sometimes a DIY shop, and you can use them as a square to put that in. So it's one's vertical, one's horizontal. You can do it that way, or you can turn it around, do it that way, it doesn't matter. But when you come to do the bottom, do the same thing. I'm just letting this go off at the moment. I put the foam piece in the front. I put this foam piece here, which looks like it's going to be the inside the cockpit with the dials in it. I'm just letting all that go off at the moment because I'm using their UFO glue, which comes like this. By the way, when you come to use the glue, there's a little cap. Take this off. There's a little cap inside. Don't pierce it. It comes out. Okay, and then you just put the top back on. And that's ready to go. So I'm just waiting for that to go off, and I'll come straight back to it. Right, so we're getting near to the end of part one, and I have just been offering up the other side to the fuselage. But before I go into that, what you'll need to do is add this part in here. Okay, now you have to, I would advise gluing it at the front first, let that go off, and then because it has to kink like this so that you can get in the right position to meet the other side of the fuselage, because that now has to go into that crease. I'll probably better take this off actually, so I'll just do that. With the battery hatch, be careful here. Now there's two things. Number one, you need to make sure you got your battery the right way up, so it might be wise to put the other battery on top of the existing battery and then let that flap down. Then you know you got the battery, the magnet. Did I say battery? Did I must have done. The magnet makes sure you got the magnet the right way up, because if you got the wrong way up, the magnets repel, and that will want to keep coming open. The other thing is that you'll find on the instructions, do not glue any of this, only glue that first part there, which is, let me get my ruler. Yeah, you can only glue the first 23 millimeters of that. Okay, do not glue anything else, because that's the lid for the battery. Okay, that's the first couple of things. Now you need to put this front piece on here, this little tiny piece there, and don't worry about the odd one little piece that goes onto the air intake of the front later on, so don't do it just yet. Now, bit of an issue's coming up now, because you're going to come to putting the other side on, and I thought I'd trial fit it, and I found something out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line up the tail end here and just put a clothes peg on it. Okay, just to keep that in place. Now I found that the piece that goes in here, for me, doesn't fit. Now on the photographs, this section here comes, this inside here, it doesn't go on top, it goes on the inside. So what I'm going to do, also with the instrument panel's too small, but I have enough Depron left over with the scrap to remake that and remake that, and then that will fit. Otherwise the rest of it goes together okay, no real issues. Just make sure you know you're using the the UFO glue, and it'll give you a chance, time, you know, while that's curing, to move things around. And as I said, use a closed peg on the other side. So that's what I'm going to do. By the time we get to part 2, that'll be done. This will be in one piece, and I think the next part now is putting the stickers on, etc., and then the wings. If I can do this in 2 parts, I will. If I run out of time, I'll have to do it in 3 parts, but I'm heading for the 2-parter. So let's see. Okay, so that's where we're at, and I'll see you in part 2.